In a world, 4 friends, 1 mission.
Mikey, what are you doing?
I'm doing the thing for the podcast.
It's not that hard, bud.
Dude, just say the name.
Fine. It's the Freedom Friends podcast.
Did you know that one of the most recorded, as far as speeches and speaking and oration and all that kind of stuff, one of the most recorded people in history was Julius Caesar?
Okay.
Like the
sense.
first one. Like
Yeah.
they wrote down like everything he fucking said.
Yeah.
And in all of those records, he never actually once said thank you to anybody.
No, fuck him. That's why.
Well, no, it's because he didn't speak English. So anyway,
It makes a lot of sense.
welcome to the Freedom Friends podcast. I like your approach to it. You were like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm Caesar, bitch. Welcome to the Freedom Friends podcast. There's people that pay the bills. Here they are.
Guys, it wouldn't be the Freedom Friends if we didn't talk about our number 1 sponsor, Warfighter Tobacco. Obviously, you guys have seen us all smoke them. We're here to talk about a quality product that everybody can enjoy. The great equalizer, as we've called it, the Warfighter Tobacco Stick. And it's not just cigars. They've got humidors, travel humidors, cutters, lighters, everything you need to get started on that journey. Check out warfightertobacco.com and use that code FTFO. Score yourself that sweet, sweet 15%. If you want to know my personal favorite, I'm a 762 Field guy. I like that Sumatra, real nice and even keeled cigar. Great for us beginner smokers, right? And I'm told that these taste even better when you're listening to the Freedom Friends podcast. Now, back to the show. This episode is brought to you by Grill Your Ass Off. It's no secret. We're all middle-aged dudes who love barbecue. Grill Your Ass Off is our main go-to for our spices. That's what we use, man. Whether you're doing burgers on the grill, steaks, or my personal favorite, a little bit of pork belly burn ends, right? They've got you covered on all of that. They also have salsas. They also have seasonings and spices. They got beer salts. They've got everything, man. Check them out. GrillYourAssOff.com/Freedom Friends Podcast, or use the code Freedom Friends Podcast at checkout.
All right.
Yeah. And Mikey's not here.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's still falling out of airplanes or
He is.
something like that.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a really good picture.
That was a good
Yeah.
picture.
Yeeting himself out of the
Yeah.
aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little weird to see like a vintage aircraft and then like a
then a
modern like
Mikey.
free fall.
You know, the
Like,
best
it
part
was-
is like it's a vintage aircraft and there's like 8 GoPros mounted to it. They're all over on the
They were
wings, on
everywhere.
the tails.
Where were GoPro? Where were you in World War II? God damn it.
Yeah.
There was just
Epic
a much
footage.
bigger apparatus.
Yeah.
They
yeah, they
still
still
have
did it because there's all those videos of them like exiting the bird and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
So you guys have watched the Masters of the Sky, right?
Yeah, great.
Don't ruin it. I'm like 5 episodes behind.
It's so good.
Okay.
The only thing I'm going to say is like when you see the scenes where all of the aircraft are in the air at the same time,
It's wild.
Oh,
we will never. And then I watched a documentary after the fact, and like that it was true. Like there were.
Oh, did you watch the documentary they put on Netflix? or
well, I
Amazon
downloaded it
also?
for tomorrow, but I watched a little bit of it. But there, like thousands of aircraft in the air fighting at the same time.
Yeah, the
And
wild.
like my biggest question watching that show is like, you know, the B-17s had all the gunners, right?
Yeah.
all the bubble.
How
How do
are-
you not hit the guy next?
How are they not shooting their own guys? Holy
Because
fuck.
they were all over the place.
They were all over the place.
They're-
No, it's a movie, but
I want to know how the guy in the top turret doesn't shoot the tail.
Well, that's just triggered us.
yeah.
And I guarantee you they did.
Oh, 100%.
I guarantee
That
they did.
too.
I guarantee you they
we
did
got
that.
it on the tail. Like, fuck.
I
It's
guarantee
weird. It's just it's all the
It was
same
like,
level.
yeah, it's like just giving the thing. We're hitting the tail. It was Luftwaffe. I saw it. I saw it. Fucking saw this kraut bastard fucking shot the tail off the
I
bird.
made eye contact with him.
But then they had the P-51s and like all the
That
shit at
scene-
the same time.
That
Holy
scene was
fuck.
fucking incredible when they're doing some of the later war stuff where the Mustang was finally in the
Yeah.
fight. And because as famous as that bird is, I don't think a lot of people realize that wasn't like when we first started doing bombardments, we just had all these fucking Mustangs around. Like
Right.
they didn't come on until like fucking later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Fortress was really early. The 17 was really, really
Yeah.
early. And it's made like shit. Like that is
Whoa.
that is a paper airplane.
After watching that series, like
that,
how they had to fix them every damn mission. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea that many airmen got killed
Oh, in
that-
the 100th air corps.
Well, that
Those guys-
regularly, like that was
Right.
that's insane.
And
One of the cool things, and it has to do with what we're talking about, but I don't know if they ever mentioned in the show. Like I said, I'm behind, so. But there were studies that came out about the aircraft that were damaged that made it back and landed, and they put where like an overview of the aircraft and where all the impacts were on
holes
it.
are. Yeah.
Right. And then one guy was like, oh, we need to reinforce all these areas. And he's like, absolutely not. These are the ones that made it back and landed. We don't have to reinforce
Those areas are good.
any hole, right? We need to reinforce where there
anywhere
aren't
there
holes.
aren't holes, yeah.
Because that's what
Because
keeps
we
the-
know that none of these areas are necessary for flight.
none whatsoever. This
Yeah.
plane made it back.
Yeah.
That's good. Those holes are
And that was the thing about
acceptable
the
holes.
B-17 is that thing felt like it's almost like those dudes just kind of willed them home.
Yeah.
It was just like
Justin, do you have any? Can you
But,
search and see how many B-17s were made and used?
But that scene
Sure.
towards the later end of the series, and this doesn't really spoil anything. It's World War II.
Yeah,
like if you can't figure out what the fuck.
What do you
is
mean?
going
I don't
on.
know what happened. How does it end?
Yeah. But when the P-51 gets involved, when the Mustang actually takes to the, and that scene though, where they're flying in like the larger formation, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we have all of these escort aircraft.
Yeah,
And they're like, and it's shown from the 17's point of view, and it's all those squadrons that are just
Yeah.
fucking ripping by it. And you're like, so let me get this straight. We put 200 B-17s in the sky, and then every B-17 had an escort squadron with them. And then and then you've got like the Flying Fortress. I think you have the two like suspension mounted guns, the Axis guns that were on each side, and then you've got the top and bottom bubbles,
and then the rear bubble. I think there's a rear
and then the rear bubble. So like, and none of these guys accidentally shot down a Mustang, like
right,
like
or
just-
another B-17.
just
like, come on,
smoked a neighbor. It was
Wow.
just like, oh,
So-
my bad. It like
There were 12,731 B-17s built,
12,000.
and 4,735 were lost during the war. After the war, if the planes had flown combat missions, they were sent for smelting at boneyards. Only 6 planes that survive today have seen combat.
Wow.
Most of them were used in the 50s and 60s in military and civilian capacities.
And if I'm not mistaken, the B-17 is the one that like Ford stopped production and was making the B-17.
Yeah,
And so they had that. It was like a mile-long building in Detroit. They shut down their major car factories. I'm pretty sure this is the B-17.
The Boeing company made the B-17.
Right, but they did it in the Ford factories. I think Ford shut down to give them their production.
A lot of these were built in Seattle at Boeing.
Oh, was it Seattle? Which one was the one that they
Maybe
did that
the-
Ford made?
the B-25 maybe.
Was it the B-25?
I don't know.
But literally, like,
Oh, well, actually, I take it back. Douglas made some also.
yeah, but they would like it'd go in the front side of the building, it'd come out the back, and the back end like went immediately into a runway. So they would roll that bitch out, and it would like go down a runway, and they did like a 12-mile circle flight, and was like, it's fucking good. And then that shit
Yeah.
just went. It like that was the entire process, and it was like, holy fuck.
yeah.
Douglas, Lockheed, and
I thought
Boeing.
everybody made them.
Yeah, Lockheed Vega.
Well, that's crazy, right? Because you could never today imagine all 3 major companies making the same thing.
Well, you got to think. So I guarantee you, in like it's kind of like when you look at some of the M16s, right? Some were stamped Mattel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
not-
and it was
not
pretty much
just
anybody that had
Well,
the
that was-
manufacturing
back it up.
capabilities.
Back it up. The
Greenlit.
M1 carbine.
Oh, fuck.
You have Singer typewriter.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have
What was that?
postal meter.
Yes, postal meter.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I have a postal meter. You know, like that's crazy.
But I think what a lot of people don't understand is like the army so the military will greenlight a design. So
Yeah.
sure, like let's say it's a Browning design or it's a Colt design, whatever it is.
Right.
Like they designed it, but we're at war.
yeah.
So like true war.
But even at war now,
And-
you're not going to see all
No,
the
but-
companies
But
making
we don't need to.
F-22s.
But we don't need to quick response stuff like that.
Right.
Well,
Like the whole new companies will stand up. Back then, it was like we're leaving, and we're leaving now. So all of you that can make this fucking design,
Yeah.
we're gonna pay you to make.
Well, what's it
and you're
called?
gonna
Like
start
the
production.
It's called like the War Act.
I
right?
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now, like if they're like, oh, we need F-22 Raptors. There's only like 2 people that can make them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think,
But like say wartime.
and I wouldn't want Boeing to make it right.
say wartime. kicked
Raytheon
off.
can produce it because Raytheon makes most of the jets.
Right.
Like the actual jets that go in that shit.
Yeah, but imagine if
Like
like
the
Boeing,
engine itself.
imagine if Boeing threw their hat in the ring to be like, hey, U.S. government, we'll make these,
They make
and they're
great-
like, no,
Yeah.
we're okay. You guys can't even make a 737
Yeah, but have you seen that 777X that they designed?
that can't fly. It has more fucking problems and failures than it. Even the people that built it are like, yeah, I'm not riding one of those.
No.
But if like the War Act happened today and they're like, oh, we need 7.62 ammo. I'm like, I have a fucking, we'll set that shit up.
We'll get progressives and
Fuck it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
That's why, like, you'll see some of these guys, and they take it out of context. There's actually a really funny dude all over the internet that does this whole, like, you know, hey, company, what is it that you make? And they, like, dig all the way into their history of everything they've ever made. And a bunch of these old companies are like, we're also involved with this cult. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, let's deep dive Volkswagen for a minute.
The early 19th century
Nothing
was,
happened.
the early 19th century was rife with cults. So, like, it was everywhere. But a lot of these people, and it's like, yes, in the middle of World War II, Mattel made weapons of war.
Yeah.
You know, in the middle of World War II, the Ball Mason Jar Company made shit for the war effort.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Every company in the U.S. made shit for the war effort.
Well, I
It
think
was
that that War Act, the companies got paid by the government. Yeah. So it was like,
Well,
okay.
That and you got to look at the economy as a whole when something at that scale happens.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a strong economy.
No.
People aren't going out spending
economy.
money.
Yeah, true wartime economy is rough. And so a lot of times the only way to keep these companies alive
Is by
it's like, hey, you have to stop making toys and you've got to start fucking making
or you
toys.
can keep
It's
making
like,
toys, but nobody has the
money.
Christmas
It's true,
this
yeah.
year, Christmas isn't really Christmas.
I hate to tell you this, but we gave everybody cheese rations. They're not buying Barbie.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna need to figure something
And
else
all,
out.
all that extra money that people have, they bought war bonds.
Yeah, for the effort. Like, it's like a whole thing.
So, Jazz, what you were talking about was Willow Run, which is where Ford Motor Company built one B-24 Liberator every 63 minutes.
It was the B-24.
okay.
So it was Willow
Every
Run,
63
minutes. So it was one fucking building. So here's the deal. I talked about this.
Well, hey.
It was the B-24, and I brought this up because they were talking about the Tesla plant up by Coda outside of Austin, which is that mile-long building where raw material comes in one
Which
end.
is the
huge.
fastest construction project in the world.
Yeah, it's ridiculous
world.
how fast it happened.
18 months.
But
start to
that
finish.
That thing's huge.
that thing is designed to where raw materials go in one end, and literally in the other end, a car pops out.
Right.
Like it's literally like a vending machine. Like you goes in.
Yeah.
It's like those things where you stamp a penny. Where
Yeah,
you, like,
except
you
for
crank
$1,
it.
you put 80,000.
Yeah, and then a car pops out. Well, they did that, but with a fucking aircraft.
Yeah.
And it took an hour. It was shit went in one side, and the shit that popped out.
Ford
the other
started
side.
in what, 23?
Holy shit.
1923, I think, is when
I
Ford
think
started.
so.
So
And so in 44, they were the masters of the fucking assembly line.
Invented the shit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is, and so
1903.
yep,
1903.
June 16, 1903.
yeah, so 40 years later, you were talking about the world's subject matter experts on
Yeah.
how do we go from nothing to a thing
Well,
as
this
fast
is funny.
as humanly
So-
possible. And Ford was like, we got you, boo. Don't even worry
Approximately
about it.
18,500 B-24s were made. 8,685 were made by Ford.
So almost.
It holds the record. It holds the record as the world's most produced bomber.
So what did the B-20, I got to look up the B-24.
The Liberator. Now it's a sex furniture.
That one.
Yeah, that one.
So that must have taken, like it must have replaced the B-17 then, or
While aircrews tended to prefer the B-17, General Staff favored the B-24 and procured it in huge numbers for a wide variety of roles.
Well, I think the crews probably preferred it because the B-17 was far more armed. It was far easier to defend it, and I bet you.
no, there's less guns on a B-24 the way it looks.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Flying Fortress was more defensible. The crew had more guns that they could do to defend the aircraft. But I bet you the 24 has something like it has a higher payload.
Or it flies better or something.
Yeah. Well, the general staff probably like it carries more or
Right.
some shit like that. But it's like, yeah, but we die more often in it. Like, could we like? So, but yeah, Willow Run was
It's wild. Every
Insane.
63 minutes.
a new plane popped out at the end of that thing.
so
So it says, here's the question. Was the B-24 better than the B-17? The B-24 was by far the most produced Allied aircraft. It flew faster and farther than the B-17 with twice the payload.
Okay.
So there you go. It probably had less guns. But
And the crew's the same size, 10 men.
Right. Less guns carries more.
Yeah.
Right,
what are the two reasons the B-24 was called the Flying Coffin?
because there was no fucking guns on it.
Due
Like,
to its singular entry point near the rear of the aircraft with only a single exit point. So that's why.
but that's also why it could get produced so fast. There was
Yeah.
just less to it. But I mean, that is still just insane. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine sitting there and the time it would take me to smoke this cigar? I could watch shit go in one end of a building and an airplane come out the other.
14,000 B-24s were produced. 6,000 of them were shot down.
They missed out on the opportunity to capitalize. You get one of those little rail cars that just goes right next to the production line, and you put like 10 dudes in a rail car.
You just build it around them.
Yeah, and it has a bar cart and cigars.
Right.
And it's a 63-minute trip. And you pay for a cigar and you get as many drinks as you want, and it just goes down the assembly
And it
line.
goes-
It's
and
a
then they
fucking-
build
and you
the
just
aircraft
watch
around
one
it.
aircraft start from like a dude with a piece of sheet metal,
Yeah.
and then it ends up like they fucking
Could you
started
imagine-
that bitch up and take off.
Could you
That'd
imagine
be
that if we popped out some camp chairs outside of Willow Run and you sit there and we light a cigar and we watch raw material going in one end, and then 63
Oh
minutes
my
later,
goodness.
right about the time the cigar is done,
How
a
much?
whole goddamn airplane just popped out the other
Right.
side. You'd be like,
How much do you guys?
I'd look at this cigar and be like, fuck, I'm not doing shit with my life.
Right?
useless.
How much do you think the B-24 cost?
4 raspberries.
$60 million.
$240,000, which translates to $2.6 million in today's currency.
Which even in today's
And we
currency,
lost 6,000 of them.
But even in today's
over
currency,
half.
now 2.6 million is nothing. It cost that to fix one of our aircraft.
Yeah,
Like 2.
but still, that's a lot for Well, I mean, I guess I knew what a grease gun cost. They did those on the cheap.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
But that is a stamped metal tube of death. That is just a
Kind of what a B-24 is.
But it's stamped aluminum.
stamped aluminum tube of death. Yeah. That's
Anyway,
Well,
I
we don't build like that.
I love World War II and I love aircraft, so I could talk about this shit all day.
The B-24 is cool though, and that's why I got confused with the B-7.
Yeah.
It's a B-24 if you don't know it, but you know what a B-17 because you've watched the show. A B-24 looks just like a B-17 without the bubbles. Take the bubbles off of it, and it looks like it.
Little different.
63 minutes.
That's crazy.
63 minutes.
Yeah,
I've had poops longer than that.
that's stretching.
But you know what? I'll bet your legs go to sleep just the same, as fast, as plain as it does on the toilet.
I'm pretty sure my max poop is like 20 something.
Depends on how deep a rabbit hole I'm going down.
Yeah.
Like if the internet's got me, then it's like,
Depends on how good my For You page is on TikTok.
which apparently is getting banned.
TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that TikTok's getting banned.
We're totally cool with China owning our toll roads.
No,
We just can't have
no.
their
It's
app.
it's more that we're handing over more fucking rights to. We're handing over so the government can.
No,
ban
this
and-
isn't the first time the government's done this.
Yeah.
And essentially
This
all they're
actually
doing.
isn't even the first time they've gone after TikTok.
No,
And
no,
it
no,
hasn't worked.
TikTok is the
But
mask.
now what they're saying, right? The way the news is spinning it, they're saying that they're banning TikTok.
on campuses.
Right? They're not banning TikTok anywhere. That is the ultimatum, right? The premise of it is we can't have communist China own a company that collects data from US citizens.
No, but we can let them
So,
own roads, bridges,
if
and toll roads all over
farmland.
the nation and farmland.
If the conglomerate that the communist China owns, that part of the company, because it's all weird how they structured it, if they're willing to sell it, then it continues business as usual. Nothing gets banned, nothing gets blocked, nothing like that.
What I thought was hilarious is that they called in the CEO of TikTok and questioned him in front of Congress, like 2 months ago or whatever.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I watched.
2 months ago, 3 months ago. And they kept going like, are you a member of the Communist Party of China? And he's like, no, I'm Singaporean. Like, I'm from Singapore. I'm from Singapore. And I'm like, okay, I hate to tell you this, but if TikTok,
It doesn't matter where you live.
if TikTok hired me as the CEO, I can go, nope, I'm not a member of the Communist Party of China. I'm not Chinese.
Right.
I was born in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
like a heartland of the United States.
Yep.
That's still communist China cutting the fucking check. All that data is still going back to the mothership, whatever the fuck that, because China has their own version of TikTok. So here's the hilarious part. TikTok in the United States is completely fucked. Like there's anything and everything you could possibly want to see is on that fucking app.
Yep.
Right?
Except I can't put up cool videos that we make on Warfighter without getting banned.
Well, yeah, they don't like cigars.
No. I can see a camel toe from space,
Yep.
but I can't see a cigar. Like
Yep.
those are, it's the weirdest shit on the planet.
100%.
And heaven
That's-
help you if you touch a trigger.
That's one big
Like,
camel
if
toe.
your finger's anywhere near a trigger on anything, it could be a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
You're going down. But, you know, if you want to put on leggings that are see-through, it's like, well, she's covered. And it's like, what? How's this balanced? Like, I'm down, but I want to be able to be like,
I'm not
damn,
complaining. I just want to understand.
that new cigar from Warfighter looks great, and I could totally Bill Clinton that bitch with one. That'd be fucking awesome. I just want equal opportunity.
They need to make like
that's-
interactive videos so I can like scroll one into the other and be like, ooh, look what I'm doing with the cigar.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying any of it needs to be censored. I'm just saying
Right.
I want it equal and open.
Yeah,
Like,
if you can show your vagina, I should be able to show my cigar.
Did you guys
like
see?
that's fair?
I think that sounds balanced, sir.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's not like I'm trying. Never
Please
mind.
tell me you're going to bring up the Don Lemon interview with Elon Musk.
No. I was going to bring up when
Did you see that?
I did. That was gold. And I love that people are somehow trying to.
Villainize Elon Musk for it?
Yes, but they're also like, well, you know, when you get somebody that leans right and you ask them pointed questions, they get flustered and they can't even continue the conversation. And I'm like, do you no fucking way that you're trying to spin Don Lemon's line of questioning
First
to
off,
make it like legitimate?
let's look
because
I don't know.
all his questions were answered and there was all bullshit.
Okay, so Don Lemon, the dude that used to be the CNN anchor,
Yeah.
got fired,
Yep.
right? Now has a podcast
Okay.
because that's what these guys do now. Like these
let me pull up
news
it
anchors.
once.
Yeah.
If you can find, it's episode 1.
No.
So episode 1 of Don Lemon's new podcast, he somehow got Elon Musk on it. Now I'm pretty sure Elon Musk took it just because he knew what the fuck Don Lemon was going to try and talk to him about. And so since Elon Musk is quite literally the world's richest troll,
Right.
he took the interview. So there's a couple.
Do you know why he took the interview? So
Well, I gave you my
Lemon,
theory.
Don Lemon was going to get hired by X.
Oh.
Okay, and one of the stipulations that Don had was to interview Elon. I'm trying to find the rest of his demands.
Who are the other fired ones that now have podcasts that are still trying to be relevant? Don Lemon. There's that other.
There's a couple from.
There's a couple now that have
Tucker
gotten
Carlson.
fired. Tucker Carlson. All these guys have gotten fired, so they've gone to the internet and they have a shitty podcast like this one. So Don Lemon got to interview Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And he's talking about he's trying to spin it to where X has a responsibility to control what's on the platform.
Oh.
based on not whether things are legal or not,
Just
based on an emotional base.
right. And so
Go fuck.
Elon just keeps going like, no, that's censorship. He's like,
Yeah.
it's not censorship, it's responsibility. He's like, that's censorship. And so Don keeps throwing out these words, and to where Elon just keeps going like, you're just throwing out buzzwords for censorship.
Yeah.
Like this is still just censorship. You honestly, something that is not against the law that makes you uncomfortable is actually the definition of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
That's exactly what freedom of speech is. Just because you don't like it
Right.
doesn't mean it should be deleted.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you have a responsibility. He's like, so, but you could read it on the internet. And he's like, but you own this platform. I was like, so you want me to shut down the internet? And he's like, well, you don't own the internet. And he's like, I don't own censorship. And so I refuse to put it on my platform.
He's like, we use an open source AI
Yeah.
or algorithm.
Yeah.
He's
And-
like, it's out there for everybody to, you know.
And he's like, and the big thing is, and what what Lemon never, so I saw this in clips and I finally had to go watch the whole fucking thing because you see it in like the 60-second clips and it's a way longer interaction than the little hot clip. And the one thing I was looking for that I never saw was the definition between it is on your platform and it is promoted on your platform.
Right. Right.
And all the shit that you don't like
Or
that could be
produced on the
considered
platform, yeah.
that could be considered hateful or aggressive or whatever. None of that is available for promotion, can be promotion. There's almost no views on it. Like there's almost nothing. Honestly, it's kind of a self-filtering platform. People that just kind of go like, this is gross. I don't want to
Right.
fucking, this shouldn't be around. just don't interact, or they report it, or they whatever. It's
Yeah.
kind of a self-leveling thing. And Elon's whole argument is like, I provided a platform. I own a platform. He didn't provide it. He just renamed it, right? I own this platform that it's open to anybody. Now, you break the law. You put something on there that is illegal.
Yeah, we will remove it.
And we remove it.
Yeah.
And he's like, now, if they change the law, we will abide by the
best
law
part-
and we'll fucking change it.
The best
Like,
part is Don Lemon was talking about, I think he was talking about anti-Semitism. And he's like, well, blah, 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 whatever. And Elon's like, well, is it illegal? At first he's like, well, if it's illegal, we remove it. And Don kept going. And then Elon's like, well, was it illegal? And Don was like, no. And Elon goes, okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's not illegal. It's like, well, it offends people, but it's like, it's not illegal.
dude, some of the shit that he was doing, and he was
That
like,
was great.
He was like, you just want censorship. And he's like, I don't want censorship. He's like, you want censorship. You want some censorship so bad you can fucking taste it. And he's like just egging him on. And I'm like, God.
But not the other side of it, right? Because you can look at it and be like, well, Elon is being a dick. You know what I mean? So the ex-CNN, this is from an article on New York Post. Ex-CNN anchor sent over an astronomical wish list to Elon Musk during contract talks to host a show on the billionaire's social media platform X. Some of these some of his demands are including a free Tesla Cybertruck, a $5 million upfront payment on top of an $8 million salary, an equity stake in the multi-billion-dollar company, and the right to approve any changes in X policy as it relates to news content, according to a document reviewed by the Post. Musk agreed to do the interview with Lemon despite the fact that he was aware of some of Lemon's outlandish demands. And they got done with the interview, and he's like, "Yeah, no, sorry, we're all set." Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, but that deal structure, because I found this whole thing so interesting, because love him or hate him, Elon has been very vocal about the fact that he's like, freedom of speech is freedom of speech. It doesn't really come with it doesn't come with guardrails. It doesn't come with a safety net. It doesn't come with any of that. Now, if it's seditious and stuff like that, that's a different deal. But also, sedition is illegal. Like
I also appreciate that he is, to a T, freedom of speech is freedom of speech in the United States of America.
And he's actually said, like,
but if
I don't necessarily like everything that is on that platform, but I can't.
If you go on X in Brazil, their terms of service and policies are
according to Brazilian law.
That's it. Yeah. So, like, if there's X in China, I don't know if there is or not, but if there is, it has to follow Chinese law.
Yeah.
They have their own, and we'll circle back to that. They'll have their own thing, because back to the TikTok conversation. But
yeah, it's a Chinese knockoff.
One thing that I like about, I think actually we technically I think have the knockoff. But one thing I liked about what I found so interesting with the job request, I don't know how to put what Don Lemon wanted for X, because it was like a request.
It was a contract negotiation.
But it was a job request. It was literally like, you should hire me.
Yeah.
And here's what you're going to give me.
I will host a podcast on your platform solely. And this is what you'll give me to do it.
So
but what I found, but he was allowed to also like essentially control what could be said, couldn't be said, the responses. Like, it was all of this kind of stuff. And it would be like me coming to you guys and going like, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay me this insane amount of money, and you're going to own it and this platform that you've built, but I'm going to come in and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to. And whatever you guys do that I don't like,
I'm going to tell you.
I'm also going to tell you that you have to change it because I work for you.
Right.
And it was like, where did you get your pants made?
Yeah.
Because there's no fucking way your balls fit in like off the shelf shit. Like, this all has to be custom, right?
They weren't his. He borrowed them from somebody else.
Oh, gotcha. But and that brings me to the TikTok thing. Is look, I find TikTok very entertaining. There's like I said, it's great for pooping. This show doesn't do horrible on TikTok. It's done very well for our growth and stuff like that. It's a good tool.
Yeah.
But it is the knockoff of the Chinese version. So China has, I don't know, have you ever looked into China's social media network?
Nope. So
China's social media network is literally, it's one piece. Like it's not like we have it. It's broken into several.
Yeah,
I
we
can't
have
remember the name of
Facebook
it.
and Instagram,
Producer's gonna find
Twitter
it for me.
and everything.
But they just have like this one platform, and it's all on there. And it's where that weird short film that came out with people getting social rankings, and if your ranking wasn't high enough, like you were socially shunned and shit. That's how China's works, and it's all on this singular platform, which is controlled by the government. And so it's China. There is no freedom of expression. You can't put anything that's seditious. You can't put anything that's anti-government. You can't. All of the ads on there are all filtered and controlled and approved by the government, like everything. And it's their only platform. And
it's WeChat.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
and
I've heard of
it's
that.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
And it's this WeChat thing, and they check in everywhere. But then you can go on and you can rate other people, and it's this whole like thumbs up, thumbs down kind of system on interactions that you've had with these people, and it socially ranks everybody. So they're putting even more social anxiety into this communist structure.
Can I, as an American, sign up for WeChat?
I'm sure they would love to have your data.
Yeah, but okay, what are they going to do with what's my data? What?
That has always been my argument. When these people they're like, I won't get an Alexa. They're listening to me. And I'm like, they're listening to you what? Fap in the morning?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? You're not important. I'm not important.
I'm not important.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm not important. Like, I have absolutely zero importance. I could disappear tomorrow. 4 people care. Right? Like, nobody, like it doesn't. It's a 10 billion people on the planet. 4 dudes care that I fucking am not here anymore.
Well, you know what I don't like,
and they're not even all in this
what
room.
I don't like.
One of them is not here.
What I don't like though is our government telling me as a goddamn grown ass man that I can't be on TikTok. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck off. Like, where do we draw the line? But that's like the Lemon. But it comes back to like Don Lemon's, hey, here's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And you're gonna pay me an insane amount of money to do it because I'm bad at interviewing.
So
Like, you already got fired from a job doing this. And now you want to get paid more money by a private dude to not be on TV to do it? I like John with the screen. Look at him being able to do homework over here.
Well, so I was looking up the Chinese social media, but I got Chinese social, and then it came up with Chinese social credit system. So I went down a rabbit hole on this. So they call it the social credit system. It's a national credit rating and blacklist being developed by the Chinese government. The social credit initiative calls for the establishment of a record system so that businesses, individuals, and government institutions can be tracked and evaluated for trustworthiness. There are multiple forms of social credit system being experimented with, while the national regulatory method is based on whitelisting and blacklisting.
But it's I'm telling you right now, it's being alpha tested in WeChat.
Well,
Because
so
you
this
can-
has
you
been
can
going on since 1999.
Right, but you can rank people in this app. Like, so you have this social ranking that the people around you give you. And it's just like,
Well, I do wish Facebook and Instagram had thumbs downs.
yeah, I agree. Didn't it used to?
Well, I mean, it's like
YouTube
Reddit with an
used to.
upvote and a downvote.
YouTube used to have
YouTube
an
used to have a
down.
Oh, they still do.
They have a like and
Netflix.
dislike.
Netflix used to.
So YouTube does have a thumb down, but now they don't show like YouTube. You used to be able to see how many people liked and
Right.
disliked.
I think the
They got
last
rid of
one that really has that upvote downvote thing is Reddit.
100%,
I think Reddit's the last one, but fucking Reddit has always been the Wild West.
100%.
Those motherfuckers made Reddit and they were like, fucking have at it. Like, you can
only
put whatever
down-
the fuck you want on
The
here.
only downfall with Reddit, actually, we were talking about that earlier today.
The problem is that like I will look for something, right? Like I'll be like, want to ask the internet, like,
Yeah.
hey, whatever. I search a topic and it's like, here's a Reddit article about it. It's like, okay, cool. And like, you get maybe 2 posts that's kind of helpful, and then it just
It's just shit
devolves
talk.
into what the
It's
fuck?
just
It, like,
opinions on whatever topic.
But I will say, one of my favorite.
if you go more than 4 deep, though, you're getting some sort of white supremacist that's chimed in.
What
Like,
are
it's-
the- what is
it
it
goes
called?
instantaneously racist.
It's not like a group. It's like the r/. What is that?
That's a subreddit.
A subreddit. The subreddit, it's AITA. Am I the asshole?
Yeah.
If you're bored,
Oh, those are pretty good.
go fucking read through some of those. Because like,
Because sometimes the poster is the asshole. And sometimes
100%. But just
sometimes-
reading these stories,
Yeah.
like if you want to feel good about yourself, go
some
fucking
dude-
read that
there's some
subreddit.
dude on that thing that has made his entire lifespan. And he's on almost every single one of the "Am I the asshole?" posts.
Yeah.
And his first post is like, "If you have to ask, probably."
Yeah.
It like
It's dumb shit. Like my boyfriend went to get a Coke and some chick said hi. And I was pissed off about it.
Am I the asshole? Yeah. Am I the asshole that I'm not okay with my roommate having people, sleeping with people that are coming over because I'm the opposite sex? And it's like, yeah, he's not your boyfriend. He's your roommate. You're the asshole. Like, they're almost always, but I like that dude because it's almost every thread. At some point in there, there's this guy that pops up that was like, if you have to ask, you're probably the asshole.
Yeah.
Now, good on you for the introspection. Like, if you're looking at yourself going like, wait a minute, am I the asshole in this situation?
My default is I am.
Yeah, I'm
always
the asshole. Yeah,
the
I want to see
I can't believe I couldn't think of this app.
I want the subreddit of am I not the asshole?
Do you want to know, what do you guys think the other app is that the U.S. government forced China to sell? There's an app. We've talked about it before.
Vine.
Grindr.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Why? I'm not even surprised. I'm not even shocked.
Yep.
Give us money, Grinder. We can do this.
Oh God, I wasn't here for that episode. I did watch those clips. I totally agree. We can come up with better ads. Them and Fleshlight, I think are our two. That's our demographic.
I think it was 2016. So it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, they bought, what is it? They bought 60% of Grindr in 2016.
Well, I think I just saw an article, and I think it's something like it's 470.
And they got bought out in 2019.
It's 470 plus apps that are on the current American App Store that are owned by China.
Yeah, I mean,
they're owned by China, and it's 470 plus apps that are owned by China. And then get into the other stuff: bridges, roads, toll roads. They own most of the toll roads in the United States.
Well, yeah,
it's owned by China.
Fund them?
Huge amounts of farmland. Like we're worried about TikTok. I'm like, we're not worried that they own infrastructure in the US.
No.
TikTok could go away. Nothing really changes.
Well,
them deciding that you just can't use roads, shit changes.
So if the US government restricts improvement in infrastructure, they're not going to do it. The U.S. government isn't going to do it themselves. Look at the last bill that they passed, the infrastructure bill. What did it actually do?
It actually sent more money outside the country.
Yeah. We didn't fix shit in this country.
And that was one of the better bills that have been passed lately.
So now I would love to see a list of all the bridges owned by China so I don't drive over them. Because I know how well China makes a lot of their stuff. You know what I mean?
Fast.
It's fast, but it's not always good.
You just got to cross the bridge fast. That's the
momentum.
The less you use it, the lower the likelihood of it breaking. I'm just saying.
Be fast and light, not heavy and slow.
Also, I'm good, but you're fucked.
Well, I'll just drive faster.
So, anyways, you boys are about to leave. Back to homegrown American shit.
God.
Americans selling South American shit.
So this will be our third Vegas trip this year in 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. So Mal's like, hey, I got invited to this engagement party. And I'm like, oh, cool. She's like, yeah, it's in Vegas, Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, have fun.
Yep.
And she's like, you don't want to go? And I'm like, no. Like, I've already been to Vegas 3 times this year. She's like, yeah, but this one will be fun. I'm like, no.
That's too many trips in 3 years.
Yeah.
Let alone in the first 3 months.
Yeah,
It's March.
I know.
So we're going to be in Vegas for 15 days out of the first 90 days of this year.
Yeah, fuck that. It's way too much.
Yeah, so, no, fuck.
Way too much.
Literally a third of this year. You spent a third of this year in Vegas. You guys.
That is gross.
You guys are those people. Don't touch me.
But I don't have to go for another 9 months. So
I can successfully say this is. I went to SHOT Show this year and did not get to SHOT Show.
So
either did I.
I've never asked this question. We've talked about you guys going to the trade show and stuff before, and you know, how it went and da 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 da. I think we can have this conversation. Not that we don't love you, Mikey, because we do, but I'm an ex-industry guy. You guys are in the industry and stuff like that. I always got excited about PCA to see what else was coming. I was always excited for the company I was going
absolutely.
for. But because I love the industry, I'm always excited about.
So I think there's a lot less new stuff this year because they upped it.
Yeah.
Well, that in
It's right behind another trade show. It's a weird time
most
of year.
people can barely get a release out by July.
Yeah.
And so now last year the trade show was July. This year the trade show is March.
Yeah.
And so they're 4 months ahead of
and it's
Like-
right on top of another trade.
Like we could have done, I'm sure there's some companies that do this. We could have done like, oh, we have a new product, a PCA exclusive.
Here's our release, but
Right.
we're shipping it in 8 months.
Yeah, we're going to take pre-orders.
I think that's what we're going to see. I think
know,
we're going to see a
I
whole
think
lot of
it's
like
gonna
we're
be a
expecting
lot of
Q4 stuff.
Yeah.
So last year though, there was
there's still shit that was released 2 years ago that hasn't even shipped from some companies.
Yeah.
there's shit that was released a couple years ago that's companies are never going to see.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any names. So, last year, the one that fucking everybody talked about was the Fuente Patron.
Yeah, it's still not
Collab.
out. Still not out.
Now, apparently, only select retailers.
Well, that was always the case, I think.
No, the article just came out.
Okay.
Select retailers of the select retailers are now getting like the first box
It's
of this stuff that's coming.
Yeah.
And we're 9 months out. Like we're 9 months from the
a
announcement.
year and 9 months.
Hold on.
yeah.
Here's the article.
Yeah, he found it.
For the retailers to get a chance to sell the Fuente y Padron Legends collaboration, it will likely be one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, box of cigars they've ever sold. MSRP for this highly anticipated collaborative project from Arturo Fuente Padron is priced at $7,115 per box of 40 cigars.
I was going to say it's 40 sticks.
The product was first announced in 2021. It comes to $178 a stick.
$178.
I'll never smoke one.
No.
I'll never smoke one.
But
And I've smoked some insane shit.
It'll
and
be
I will,
too- it'll
I'll
be-
never smoke one.
It'll be
Now, there's a lot of products that those companies sell that aren't normal pricing in the cigar industry.
yeah.
Well, almost everything from Padron that is not
We-
brown labeled Padron,
Yeah.
if it says anniversary on it, it's not normal pricing in the cigar.
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
Like those guys,
But it's not crazy either.
it's not crazy. It's very obtainable.
Yeah, a lot of the
And-
Fuente stuff's crazy.
The one thing I like about Padron versus Fuente in this scenario is that Padron is like, look, we make the 64, we make the 26, we make the birthday cigars, but they're available. Like you can go to almost every cigar shop.
Yeah.
You know, if they spent even a little bit of money with Padron, you could probably get it. You can buy it. And it's going to cost you $20 and you're going to buy the cigar and you're going to smoke it. Fuente, on the other hand, is like, hey, we made the pink wrapped short story Eye of the Shark Tiger fucking barber pole blend cigar, and we only made 3.5 of them
42 years ago.
42 years ago. And that all of that tobacco survived a fire.
As they're cranking out thousands of them daily, probably.
Yeah. And all of those survived a fire. And only these 7 retailers, these 7 official retailers, plus these 700 non-official retailers are going to get it.
Well,
But you're only going to be able to get them on cigarbid.com.
While
Right?
no
Like, and it's like,
date,
what the
while no
fuck?
date has
Like-
been given, it would appear the first shipment is very close to heading to stores.
Right.
The two companies intended to ship their first batch of 750 boxes
Hit
to
me.
stores last December. But some of these, and this is like in different texts, some of these boxes were damaged in transit, so the first shipment was delayed.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
Now
what
they're
this
both
was?
in the process of receiving the initial shipments. Process has moved far enough along. The price has now been announced because it wasn't before. One of the last steps before the cigars begin shipping to retailers. While it's likely the first batch of Fuente Padron Legends will be on sale soon, retailers won't be able to place orders for the cigars.
Yep.
Shops can't order it. Legends box is expected to be allocated, meaning the two companies will offer a retailer a certain number of boxes or just a box, as opposed to letting the retailers decide how many boxes they would like to buy.
So for all of our listeners that follow these really hard to get cigars and you want to go find out what it is, you need to go look up who the PCA 100 is. And the PCA 100 are the top 100 cigar stores that are members of the PCA. And about half of those have been or are currently serving as board members on the PCA.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the shops that get it. I'm telling you right now. Best chance, and is probably smoking out of Florida. Best shot. Abe DeBedna's shot. I'm a huge fan of Warfighter, and we talk about it all the time. But Abe is a hell of a retailer.
Yeah.
He's an amazing and he's a great dude. You guys ever met Abe?
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, he doesn't play when it comes to business. He's hard to do work with.
But this cigar, there's 2 cigars, right? It's not.
It's 20 cigars from
Each
Puente
company.
and 20 cigars from Padron.
So you can't buy just one.
No. And it's going to be box sales only. These things will be completely. This reminds me of
14.
These are all going to be collector's items.
So have you ever seen?
They're not going to break them down and sell them. It's like those.
Did you ever see the La Flor Dominicana face-offs?
Yeah.
So it was a cigar that was blended for La Flor Dominicana, by another brand, and then La Flor Dominicana blended a cigar for them.
They switched them.
And they switched them. So it was blended by La Flor Dominicana, got the other guy's label, and then that guy's label went on La Flor Dominicana, and they sold it. It's just that. It's that, but they're all in the same box.
But so this reminds me of like
It's a big giant box. I don't know where you.
I had an opportunity to get a box of 12 cigars, and it was one cigar for each year of the fucking whatever, and they were made specifically for the Chinese market, and somehow like 100 boxes ended up in the United States.
Of course.
Imagine.
Right, and retail on those was $1,000 for 12 sticks.
From who?
Huh?
Who?
Anybody. Didn't matter where it's from.
No, who's the
I
who's
can't
the
remember the
manufacturer
name of the
cigar?
manufacturer right now off the top of my
Okay.
head. I want to say it was like EPC or something like that. It was
Yeah, I
a
think-
semi-common name. But I had an avenue to be able to get one. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. Because I was just going to sit on it for 10 years and then be like, oh, hey, you guys remember this? And,
Yeah.
but I didn't end up getting it. But that was one of those boxes that there's 12 cigars in there. Yeah, you could sell each one for whatever, a 12th of a grand. But no retail shop is going to open that box and break it down.
Yeah.
No.
It's an all or nothing.
Well, that's like
it's
the-
a collector.
Every couple of years, Fuente will release that lineup box that's got like all the Hemingways
Right.
in one box, and so you get all the limited ones, plus you get the regular. So you get the Eye of the Shark, which I've never understood that name, because it should be like this super oscuro where it's like pure black, but it's not. It just looks like another fucking Hemingway. But it's all the opuses. It's in that like that one fucking box.
Yeah.
That I feel like I'm just shitting on the cigar industry, but I've been in it long enough to fuck it. Problem I have with Opus, you can't smoke them when you buy them. They're like 2 years out from being good. Like every Opus you buy, you have to like bed down for 2 years and then you can smoke it.
Speaking of that,
They're always like 2 years too young.
Well, and like I feel like I can't keep up with the Opus names.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like
It's
I'm so lost.
It's the Opus year, the dragon bull shark fucking short story. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like what? I don't know what this is. I was like, what is it? It's an Opus.
speaking of stuff you can't enjoy right away. So this past weekend, I went up to Fredericksburg and picked up some wine because I'm still a wine club member. I just haven't been up there to pick up wine. And
Where are you putting all of this, by the way?
I got a wine rack.
Did you get those stacked?
Actually, I have two. Yeah, I got one of those. I have two wine racks. One of them's a 96 bottle, and the other one's a 24 bottle. The 24 is full. The 96 is like 3/4 full.
I have another friend of mine that's a wine club member and literally came to me and was like, how much wine do you drink? And I was like, look, if it's in my house, it's getting drunk. And they were like, would you like some bottle? I'm literally have nowhere to put this. And I was like, fucking hey, dude. Like, I'll take it.
But-
and he brought me some and I was like, don't bring me any more of this. I don't.
So
really bad.
2 years ago, I got invited to be a bougie member
The black member? No.
of their. They call it a KO member.
Mhm.
And so with these,
They got
wines,
me too.
They're limited wines that they do.
Yeah.
And they're fucking delicious. They really are. But so you get 6 bottles a year, right? But when they bottle it, you have to age it for 5 years or 3 to 5 years before you drink it,
Right.
right?
You have to be the seller.
I'm the wine
Right.
seller.
You're the
so
seller.
I went and picked up these 6 bottles, and I'm like, "What happens if I drink it right now?" And
They're
the
like,
girl,
"It's trash."
She's like, "You don't want to," and I'm like, "Well, why not?" Like, and I told her, I was like, I have a cigar brand, so I understand the aging of a product to get the taste that's desired out of it. I was like, inform me on this. And so she went down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I get it now. And I was like, okay, do you have a list of everything else that you've made in years prior that's available? Because only these specific KO members can buy the previous bottles. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, those previous bottles are $100 a bottle.
So the winery I joined at what they call the black level. So it's a KO
Same
level,
thing.
whatever. So that unlocked all the Heath Vineyard stuff.
Okay.
Not the stuff I was buying from Fredericksburg. So this is Heath Vineyard stuff, which is all the stuff that's grown in Paso Robles, in I guess Paso. If you're in California and I'm saying it wrong, now I like Paso wines. I like it because Paso is one of those ones with all the microclimates, and so like you can literally get a vineyard that's like 200 yards from one of the others, but the soil content is so different that the wine tastes different.
Yeah.
I like Paso wines. And all the vines in Paso are from France. So they were
The
clippings
wines
from
or the vines?
the vines.
Oh, I thought you were having
The vines that make the wines are from France. So, but the vines are from France. And so when France had its big blight that killed all those vines, they went back to Paso and did clippings of those and so these are all the Roman vines that got put in. When Rome marched through, they planted all those mountains in France because it was like the center point for all the shit they're growing. And so I like them. They're big and they're they grow a great cab and they're huge and you feel it in the back of your jaw. It's those big flavored over the top fucking cabs, which is my wife and I like. So of course, when we go and we joined the vineyard, they were like, well, you've got to try these. So we joined and they had us do all the Heath ones. And it's the same thing. Once a year, you got half a case.
Yep.
So it was 6 bottles of that vineyard. And then they tell you, don't drink these for 3 years.
Yeah.
But as a Heath member, a black member, you can buy the prior years of doing them. So if you want the ones that are already 3 years old, they're $100 a fucking bottle, which is what I was paying for my shit that I can't drink for 3 fucking years. And I was like,
and, I pay less for the shit that I have to age because I was about to have an issue with them. Because it's the same thing. Like, why am I paying full price and I'm fucking aging this?
No, mine was better because I joined the black thing and then found out that I didn't get the pickup other than the black one. All it allowed me to do was buy the quarterly pickup if I wanted it the rest of the year for the standard line shit. The only thing I was paying for was for my 6 bottles, and it was like $700 a year for my 6 bottles that I picked up that I couldn't drink for 3 fucking years. I was like, I'm done.
$450, I think, and for those 6 bottles, and then I have the quarterly ones that I get. That's on top of that.
I didn't get that. Apparently, I need to go talk to yours because mine was like, no, it was $680.
Yeah.
I only got my 6 bottles, but I could go do the club pickup if I paid for the case once a quarter if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, so I'm supposed to be into you for like $3,000 a year?
Yeah.
I'm like, Total Wine's 4 miles away. Like,
they have way more selection.
They got way more selection. And if I walk in and tell the fucking Som at Total Wine that, hey, I've got $1,000 I want to spend on Paso wines.
Yeah.
I'm leaving with way more than 6 bottles.
Yeah, so I ended up leaving with like 24 bottles of wine. It's like, Jesus Christ, again.
You don't even drink that much wine.
I do. Well, see, here's my thing with wine, right? It's kind of like how I drink whiskey, where
often,
not often, but a good amount of quantity when I do.
Yeah. So that was our problem.
Right. So when I open a bottle of wine, it's not just a bottle of wine.
No,
it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. And that was our problem. My wife and I, like, we'd go and, we'd have this black label stuff and then we'd pick up the fucking case or whatever of the other release. And it was like, we'd open one and we'd drink it because it's 2 glasses.
Yeah.
Like you open a bottle and
4 glasses.
I'm married.
Yeah.
Right. So that means I got 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah, okay.
Because she drank 2, I drank 2.
Yeah,
I got 2 glasses of wine. So, it's like, I practice enough at this. The 2 glasses didn't do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That was just, it's
and then
good.
by the time you get, like, you pop that 3rd bottle And then you're like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 bottles are starting to kick in. By the time the third's done, it doesn't even matter anymore.
Well,
like,
it was
fuck,
always-
we'll open 6 more.
And it was always with dinner, right? So it was like we made steak and did appetizers and like the whole 9 yards. Well, the first bottle that got opened, the 2 glasses that I had, got me through dinner. That was just the drink with dinner.
Yep.
And it's like, well, now it's after dinner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna light a cigar. I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. 3 bottles fucking later, and it's like, fuck, did I spend $400 on wine last night? Like this is insane.
Yeah, I'm not into wine. That's why. I like.
No, there's cheap wines that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're really
They're $15 a bottle.
There
and
really is.
You can drink.
Like one of my favorite wineries that I absolutely love. They have their not good enough wine to wear the big label. And you can buy it for like $16. It's like $16 a bottle. And it's phenomenal.
There's a brand called Hess, Hess.
Yep.
And it's like between 12 and 15 a bottle, depending on which one it is. And
I tell everybody to buy Decoy.
And if you take that bottle of Hess and you're hosting a dinner party and it's like bougie as fuck, and you decant it and you pour it for everyone, they're going to think you just cracked open a $100 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And it's just, it's consistent. It's good.
Like I'll probably have like the most of the time when I have wine is when we're in Vegas and
With Craig.
Craig orders wine. Right? I like wine,
Yeah.
but I don't know enough about wine to go buy.
And it's a fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah,
It is deep.
I'm not saying I'll never get into. I'm pushing it down the road.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah. I got into wine at an early age because of bartending.
yeah.
Because we had wines, and that cultivated my wine knowledge because I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
Like I knew like the little mini bottles of wine you get that are like $3, the Woodford Reserve or Woodbridge or whatever the fuck they're called. What are they called? Woodbridge.
Yeah.
Those little bottles,
Yeah.
like that's what I knew.
Yeah,
Like you want a Pinot, you want a Cab,
The
like,
Sutter Homes.
yeah.
I slapped a bag this last weekend and had a little
Exactly.
wine.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
but then I started working at this bar in Massachusetts, and so every single week, because I was one of the head bartenders, we had to do tastings with all of our distributors, with all the new shit. And
Yeah.
what do we want to bring in? What limited run stuff? Blah blah blah. And so once we got, I mean, there's only so much booze that you do, but there's a million fucking wines.
And there is nothing like a wine rep. They have this bag that they show up.
oh my god.
So it's this bag, and it looks, you know, those Yeti cooler bags that are like $8 bajillion fucking.
Yeah.
Somehow I own one that just has my dog's shit in it. And I'm like, why do I have a Yeti cooler bag that carries around dog toys? This
The same reason why I do half the things in my life for Kira.
I was like, how the fuck? Because those things are not cheap. Like those. Anyways, it looks like one of those, but inside, it's divided up like it's got all the slots in it. Like if you've ever bought a case of booze and it's got the cardboard divider in it.
Right.
It's that, but it's made out of like cooler material.
Yeah.
And a wine rep will show up. It's almost always a chick. And they show up in this like pencil skirt thing and a blouse. And then they set this bag down. And then they will line up like 8 or 9 wines. And you're just looking at it going like, it's 11:30 in the morning.
Let's
like
fucking go.
and
You
so-
know,
now when
you know
they
what?
do these
you know what?
things-
I might not drink a lot of wine, but goddamn it, I'll buy wine.
When they
Come
do one
sell me
of
wine.
these tasting things, especially for bars, the goal isn't to drink all of the wine.
Right.
They put a spit bucket on every table, and you're supposed to taste it and spit it out, and then go to the next one.
Nobody does that.
Right. It took me 6 weeks of doing this. The first 6 times, once a week, that we did this. Finally, the owner was like, "John, listen, you got to stop getting fucking hammered at these tastings." I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" He goes, "You're not supposed to drink it." I'm like, "What? How do you taste it?" He goes, "You swish it on your mouth, you spit it in that bucket." I'm like, "Oh, that's what the bucket's for." I thought it was an ice bucket. They just never filled it.
Did you ever notice though that the reps never do it?
Oh,
the
fuck
reps
no.
never
They
spit
get
anything out. I'm like, how the fuck are you?
But they also only take a sip, and then they fill. They give you a quarter glass.
Yeah, they give you like a quarter pour, and so, but wine reps are the fucking best.
I like if I could order a flight of wine, I would do that.
So the trick, the thing I tell everybody with wine is you need to find mid-grade wine, and you need to get different styles.
Yeah.
So you need to get a Merlot, a Malbec, a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Sauvignon Blanc. But like you need to get the different styles and get mid-grade wines. Don't go buy $50 wines, but don't buy fucking Well, now it's $4 Chuck. It's not. It used to be $2 Chuck.
Oh, $2 Chuck was my jam.
Trader Joe's, baby. You can still buy it. I'm a big fan. Actually, my favorite table wine is from a company called Bogle. If you want to spend like very little money but get a wine that actually tastes good, there's a company called Bogle, Bogle. I think it's like $11 for a bottle of their cab. And it's solid as a table wine. I don't have to think about it. It's just good wine. It's solid. But find a mid-grade wine and go through the different styles, the major styles. Don't get off into the fucking variants because you'll get so far down this rabbit hole.
That's all I have is the variant.
It's all the variant wines. Find a style you like.
Right.
And then start working regions.
Yeah.
So like try it from Chile, try it from like, and then you will find a wine and a region you like, and you've kind of zeroed it in. Like I know I like Nicaraguan tobacco.
Yeah.
I like, especially in my wrappers, I like Nicaraguan wrappers. I don't mind Dominican fillers. I think they do a good job of balancing it. But I know, like, if you show me a cigar that's either Nicaraguan Puro or it's Nicaraguan wrapped and like Nicaraguan, Honduran, Dominican filled,
probably gonna like it.
I'm probably gonna be there if it's in the if that wrapper's in the style in the region that I like.
Yeah.
That's why, my favorite cigar from you guys, the La Ranja Orange Label, is like there's certain cigars, and really if you smoked through them and you kind of didn't know the nuances of those cigars, you'd be like, this is the same cigar with 4 wrappers on it. And it's like, it's not, but I know my style. Like I know what I like.
Right.
Wines are kind of the same way. For me, I know I like French Bordeaux's and I like Paso Robles Cabernet Sauvignons. Both of those wines are huge. They are giant flavor, like grab you by the back of the jaw, kind of shake you around, massive flavors. But I also like a spicier cigar. I like, and so I need a bigger flavor.
Well, I know if I
it.
dove into wines, I would be into.
But like I can't do sweet wines. Those wines where it's the far sweeter like fruit juice flavors. I don't want that. I want the earth and the tannins and the leather and like I want a wine that drinks like a cigar smokes.
Right.
And so, but I found that wine.
I can do certain sweet ones, right?
Yeah.
Like you were saying about regions.
Yeah.
An ice wine from the Mosel River Valley in Germany, I'll drink the fuck out of that.
The only time I will drink it is between like November 1st
That's it.
and like December 31st.
There's
like
a
as a
meal,
Christmas wine, I like it.
There's a meal and a time.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But ice wines behind pork, so fucking good.
But one of the reasons why I like that specific area is because I don't really like this aspect of it, but it adds to the quality control of it. The German government actually goes in after the first freeze to test the grapes to make sure that.
But they do that with all the German purity laws too for beer.
They do. But if the government if they walk onto a random farm in the valley and they pick a grape and it's not to their standard, nobody in the valley can do it. So if everyone's growing these grapes and the government says, hey, we're not good, they can still produce. They can't sell.
Although I think like the Rhine Valley hasn't missed in like centuries.
Yep.
So most of the ice wine you'll go find, it's going to be a Rhine Valley, and they're good. They're really
dessert
good
wine,
but it is a dessert
sweet
wine. You're going to have it after dinner.
Yeah.
But that's what it's designed for. Like literally, they were like, because after dinner, it's this sweet wine, and they serve it in smaller glasses and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're going to get into wine, you almost need to. It's almost like walking in artillery. You need to like call a grid and then go like, okay, now we're gonna go like kind of walk it, and it's like nailed it. Like, but you kind of have to pay attention. You can't just go pick random wines. Right. You'll never find one that works for you. And then just have that combo. Like I like, so there's the 42nd parallel. Wines grown above the 42nd parallel. That's where I prefer them to come from. I like them with a heavy mineral content in the soil because that provides all of that, that more earthy flavor in the wine. Less fruit, you get more earthy tones. Yeah. But I dialed all that in, and that came from years of just like, this is shit, this is good, this is. And then I have to get into South America. So you almost have to flip the map and get the same thing on the back end of that. But then I change styles. So South American wine, I prefer to get into Malbecs and stuff like that because they're bigger.
But it's also like cigars where your palate evolves.
Yeah.
So like there's this wine, Justin Cab. It's a vineyard called Justin. They're out of Napa Valley, and they made a cab.
It's an insanely simple label. It is white and in cursive on the front. It just says Justin
and
on the front of it.
When I started drinking it, there was a black label, and Justin was in red.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom it said Cabernet Sauvignon. That was it. And that with a steak, fucking next level. But just like tobacco, every year, every crop changes.
Yeah.
You got to learn the years.
And I had a glass of Justin Cab, I think last year when I was in Arizona. And I drank like half of it, and I was just like,
it's not there.
I don't know if it was me or if it's them.
Yeah.
But I will
But
warn
it's not
you,
this, it's not what it was.
I will warn you, it gets very rabbit holey.
But and then
So
every,
then you start paying attention
I know,
to
that's
stuff
why-
like
that's why I
every
put it
year's crop's different. Like so the vineyard I belong to, the wine club I belong to in Fredericksburg, their vineyard every year they make the same wines, but it's a different crop.
Yeah.
And it tastes
everything changes.
There's some that like I have a 2020 and it's phenomenal, and I have a 2021 and it is trash.
Yeah.
And the 2022 is great again.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you this, like his 2021, right? He said it's trash. He could go like, I'm going to take my other bottles and I'm going to bet him down for 5 years. They're not getting any better. It's just what they're going to taste like.
It is what it is.
The wine is good when it goes in the bottle, or it's not, and that's it.
Well, I don't know how you would age anything in glass. Like
You can't.
It makes no sense.
You can't. It doesn't do anything. The only thing that'll do, if you're storing it
smooths out the
properly,
flavors.
it calms down a little bit. But what it does is it marries a bit more.
Yeah.
If you're storing them properly, I know exactly what racks you're talking about. So you're actually corked down.
Yeah.
They don't sit flat.
Yep.
They're corked down. It lets that shit kind of settle out. And then if you don't, if you're not rough with it when you pick it up and you kind of slide it out, you can let the bullshit in it will go to the bottom, and then you decant it.
Yeah.
So when you decant it, you don't pour the whole bottle. So you're pouring the good wine into a decanter. The trash stays in the bottom. But you kind of can't make a bad wine good. It doesn't happen. Unlike where vodka, where you can like run it through a Brita and all of a sudden your vodka is the
Like,
smoothest thing you've ever
delicious.
fucking had.
You should try that with some trash wine. See what happens.
You get water. Like you get it's you pull everything out.
Yeah.
One of my favorite vineyards is Camus Vineyards, Caymus, Camus Vineyards. The Camus is awesome. Camus white label, it's going to run you retail $60, $70 a bottle.
Yeah.
But Camus also makes Duckhorn, which is going to get you in the $40 range. But then Duckhorn makes Decoy, which is going to be in like the $17, $18 range. I'm going to tell you right now, until you get a really educated palate, I could pour you a glass of Camus and I could pour you a glass of Duckhorn or a Decoy. You're not going to be able to tell me the fucking difference between those two Cabernets. And so that's why I'm like, find the mid-grade stuff. Yeah. And then if you just want a wine that's good, that, has a different flavor profile than drinking whiskey or whatever all the time, you can find that equivalent to Decoy.
I feel
just
like,
about every.
You know what? Fuck this. I feel like we should have done a wine episode.
Do we have any?
We have one bottle.
Where is it?
How about I'll bring in some wine? I have.
Oh, it's back there.
I have a couple bottles.
Second shelf, all the way in the back.
I have a couple bottles of wine. We'll wait till Mikey's back and we'll do a wine episode.
What is that?
I don't know.
No, I know what that is.
Oh,
nope.
Nope.
Nope. Absolutely not.
No.
I will bring a bottle, or we'll wait for some of his club
Right.
stuff or whatever.
Well,
we'll do a wine episode.
All right.
Yeah,
we're not drinking that. I know what that is, and no.
We will open that on the wine episode.
Okay.
Yep. You can compare it to other wines.
All right. Well, I think we should. We've never done
on that wine episode, like I want to go get a bottle of $2 Chuck. Or $4 Chuck, whatever it's called now. It was $2 Chuck when I started
It's still
drinking.
not bad.
Now here's $2 Chuck is Trader Joe's wine brand.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, is Charles whatever the fuck, I can't remember.
Yeah, the label does not say $2 Chuck.
No.
It says Charles something. But it
but you can only get it at Trader Joe's.
Forever.
Yeah.
It was
Well, you
$2.
used to be able to get it everywhere. Now you can only
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
at
yeah.
Trader Joe's. But it was $1.99 a bottle.
Yep. And so,
$2
but
Chuck.
what they did is they got all the bottom of the barrels of all the barrels in Napa. So when they dump the barrels, they only use so much of it. They used to keep all the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they took all that, they filtered it out, blended it all together, and bottled it. And it was $2.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, it's $2 chuck.
Yeah.
And
Right.
people would buy the fucking shit out of it. And it wasn't horrible because
Yeah.
it all came from good wines.
Right.
But you just didn't know what the fuck you were getting because it was just a mix of everything. But it was really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say really good. For $2 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is it Charles Shaw?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, now it's $4. I mean, Bidenomics, right?
Right.
And but it's still like 100% worth it. And that's one of the ones if you decanter it and you don't tell anybody what it is and
Yeah.
you're just pouring it with the dinner, nobody's going to.
And that's the thing is that I think because it's Charles Shaw or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I literally think they took all the Napa runoffs, and it's still stylized, so you can still buy $2 chuck in all of the different styles of wine. It's not just like red blend, white
Right.
blend, or whatever. Like it is still all the different styles. I'm utterly convinced that they went and they pulled all those Napa wines and they take the barrel and they pour it through like a cheesecloth to pull the sediment out.
All the
and
bullshit.
They just put it in put it in
they mix it all. Okay, you got any leftovers? You got leftover soup? Cool, I'll take all of them.
And so it's just Charles Shaw Cabernet. And so, but Napa makes a great wine. And so all of a sudden you have this blended wine that
encapsulates all the goodness.
But it's not horrible. It's not winning awards,
Right.
but it was $2. And when it was like,
It's like the dumpster fire.
well, and it's like,
Yeah.
it tastes good as a table wine, or I'm sitting here fucking watching fucking NCIS for the 17th time through and I just want a glass of wine. Do I really need to open $40 wine to do that? Or do I need a $2 bottle?
NCIS is a great show to listen to.
It's the best background noise you could possibly have.
Because you don't have to pay attention to any of it.
No.
Yeah.
It's,
And there's
it's
like,
all the same episode.
What, 25 seasons or
I
some
have
shit?
no idea.
Yeah, I think it's been on longer than The Simpsons.
You could literally
That shit's
spend
been
the
around
next
forever.
30 years banging into NCIS every single night and not rewatch or re-listen to the same episode.
That's a weird flex.
Just change. Well, you just change cities.
No, I was going to say.
No,
like,
just the
I could bang
core
several times in
NCIS.
one episode, so it's like.
Well, no,
Because
as soon as you get done, you turn it, you watch something else.
I'm not
and
gonna
then
lie.
you just
though,
pick it up next time.
I've tried to watch NCIS from the other
It
side,
took me 3.5 months. I got through the first episode.
and there's no Leroy Gibbs, so I don't care.
You're watching the wrong show.
NCIS
Yeah, just the main NCIS. You
it has Leroy Jethro Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I've tried to watch the other cities. They did like
no, it
NCIS
doesn't work.
Miami and NCIS New
No.
Orleans and NCIS
If Ducky,
LA
if
and
Ducky's not in
yeah.
it, I'm not watching it.
and I'm not watching it. But
So they have 20 seasons, 461 episodes.
yeah,
Wow.
and they're an hour long apiece.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. But that's what $2.
A lot of crimes in the military.
Well, if you do it,
That's just the Navy.
True. And those guys are pretty innocent.
okay.
But so we'll do a wine episode. So here's the challenge.
I feel like we should.
I'll
inform-
put the challenge in for the wine episode. Each one of us will bring a bottle
Okay.
because you and I are into it.
Yeah.
So we'll pick bottles, and then the other two can go pick whatever.
Just off the shelf. Yeah.
Just you go look
I have no idea.
right on the label. Just look at it and be
Yeah.
like,
That's cool.
I think this is why I think
I
this
like
looks
this
cool.
one.
All right. All right.
And we'll
So-
do the comparison.
Now, Craig's giving you solid advice on
Yeah.
choosing wine.
It's based on the APV.
That's it. The alcohol percentage.
Yeah.
Right. So what did he tell you? Do you remember?
Above 13%, I believe. And he said it's usually pretty good.
So if you're going blind
Yeah.
and you sit down at a restaurant and you want to get wine and impress your lady and you have no idea what you're doing, most wine lists in a restaurant are going to have the alcohol percentage of the wine
Yeah.
listed with it.
I think that's a law.
And if you pick ones, whether it's red or white, that's over 13%, preferably in the 14s,
Okay.
you are not going to be disappointed.
So this is 13.5, and you guys all motherfucked it.
Yeah, that's because we
Well, I know what it is.
won't have that in a restaurant.
I don't even know who brought this. I can't remember.
But
Well, it translates into hopefully.
Yeah. So it's hopefully good.
I guess.
So one of the things that I've noticed when it comes to wine, and you call me superficial, whatever you want, if it doesn't have a cork, I'm usually not going to buy it.
All right.
If it's a
See-
screw top,
Now,
I don't care what the percentage is.
I feel like just to fuck with my mother, I would bring in Mogan David because that's what she drinks because
The church wine.
it's communion wine.
It's church wine. Yeah.
I mean, I could bring in some Manischewitz if you want.
Now I want to know how Mogan David,
That's a hell of a pitch. Got every fucking church on the planet to buy their
Right.
shit. Yeah.
like that's a hell of a pitch.
There has to be like a Uline catalog for churches. Right?
The next time I
Like there has to
Yeah,
be.
it's not called U-line. It's called the cross.
the next time I talk to my
Yeah.
pastor, I'm going to be like, hey, just let's have a
Hey.
business conversation.
Yeah, what's the church
Why?
supply catalog
Yeah.
that you guys get?
For
Do you
why?
think it's like set up like a franchise where you just have one menu to order off of and that's all you get?
Yeah, 100%.
Like they're like,
Gotta
oh,
be.
we're a church of blah blah blah. Like, okay, cool. Here,
maybe
that's all you can order.
Maybe Mogan David donates it. I don't know.
No way.
There can't be.
No,
because that's so.
solely how they make their money.
Yeah.
No, because Mogan David is also MD 2020.
That's true, but
Oh,
not very profitable these days.
you'd
And
be
that's the same
surprised.
company.
I tried one not long ago. Not good.
I did-
No, that's because
For you,
because the
but your
40,
palate's evolved.
the 40 plus
You're not
crowd doesn't buy MD 2020.
But we're the ones that started it.
But no,
No,
because
we
the
are
generation
not.
Before us,
When
was
did
drinking.
MD 2020 come out?
I'm looking
It's
it
so-
up.
I
right
bet it was
now.
when I was
Because
about a fucking sophomore. in high school.
Everybody in this room, except for maybe him, has the MD 2020 hangover story.
Oh god.
And there was the night
Fuck.
with MD 2020 where the next day somebody had a bottle of it and it instantly changed the color of your skin.
Yeah.
You were just like, "Ugh." It doesn't, everybody has that story. Because unless you were young and dumb enough to buy that shit, you don't. But so my buddy bought me tickets to the Dead South, and it was at the Aztec. Well, the Aztec has a convenience store on the corner of it because it's downtown.
Yeah.
And we were standing in line, and with my friend, I looked through the window, and they've got an MD 2020 rack. It's a display, had the sign on top of it, and all those fucking square bottles
Yeah.
just lined up. And I was like, oh God, I'm getting nauseous just looking at that. And the 4-pack that was behind us, that was roughly our age, looked
Yeah.
in the window and went, oh, I could taste the tropical fruit punch.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like it's
When did it come out?
So I'm trying to find exactly when Mad Dog 2020 came out.
but that's that's only a nickname we gave it. That's not actually
It's not a real name.
that's not the real name. MD20 M/D
Mogan David.
2020. It's Mogan Davis.
Yeah.
This is the communion wine.
My wife blew my mind when I found that out. Yeah.
Launched in 1984, the MD 2020 portfolio included an array of flavors.
Literally 40 years old.
Yeah. Fuck. 84. I was young too.
it was 2.
It's 40 years old this year.
So this is what I was laughing at earlier. MD 2020, often called by his nickname Mad Dog, is an American fortified wine. The MD stands for its producer, Mogan David. 2020 has alcohol content that varies by flavor from 13 to 18%. Initially, 2020 stood for 20 ounces at 20% alcohol. Currently, MD 2020 is sold neither in 20-ounce bottles nor at 20% alcohol by volume. In the central belt of Scotland, it is a very popular beverage, usually drunk from the bottle and often associated with antisocial behavior.
Well, can confirm.
I don't
That's
think
how
I've,
we.
That's
I
do
don't-
not just
I don't think-
Scotland.
I don't think I've ever had it from a glass.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Why would you dump it in a glass?
It's-
What a waste of time.
The people that drink Mad Dog 2020, like on the regular, don't do their own dishes.
Nobody drinks it on the regular
They-
today.
No, they don't. They use plastic. They use fucking Solo cups and paper plates.
Anybody drinking Mad Dog
No,
2020
John.
regular
They drink it out of the
doesn't
bottle and
own
they
dishes.
smash it against the wall when they're done.
Like 100%, but you can't do the same. You don't get the same effect with a Solo cup.
You said don't do their dishes. And
They don't.
my argument is they don't own dishes.
That's what I mean. They use Solo cups and paper plates.
Yeah.
They don't have those either. From the bottle.
Yeah. You don't need a plate for a Hot Pocket.
No, it comes with its own thing.
No, Jazz, you were talking about me maybe not drinking Mad Dog. I was part of the Four Loko generation.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I need.
Have you ever had Mad Dog?
Yes.
2020?
Yeah, Mikey
was
gave
gonna
it to me.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, if you haven't, when we do our wine night, we're bringing
Then-
you Mad
Yeah.
Dog 2020.
Mikey giving it to you seems appropriate.
100%, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
The same guy that brought in fucking what is that? What's the Oh, Rumplemints. That's what he brought in that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to drink that in high school too. There's a reason I left it in high school though.
Boone's Farm.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
So I drink
$4.
I drank more Boone's Farm than I drank Mad Dog 20.
Fuck yeah, it was better.
Well,
Well,
it was roughly the same price.
It was better though.
but you can mix it.
I never did.
So the first time I ever got drunk was off of Boone's Farm strawberry schnapps or whatever their strawberry,
strawberry.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't really understand what I did, right? Because it was the first time. So I'm like, oh, that was weird. I felt
You
like
had that
shit
and,
now.
and mixed it with what?
No, it was just
It was just
Oh.
Boone Farm strawberry.
Yeah.
but it was easy to get.
Mhm.
And then the first time I really got
That's because every place that sells Boone's Farm also doesn't card.
no,
And,
not whatsoever.
and Boone's Farm was cheap. That's why
cheap
it was
as
easy.
shit.
So I remember in high school, there was a gas station. We all knew what gas station it was. And I don't know how every high schooler knew what gas station it was and the cops still didn't shut them down.
Right.
These motherfuckers didn't card for anything.
No.
So you could walk up, and I remember in high school, every Friday I would get out of school, I would drive there, and I'd buy 2 fucking bottles of MD 2020 and 3 packs of Camel Wides.
Yeah.
And I never once got carded. And look, if I shave, I look 17 now.
Right.
Like, so at the time, it was like, what the fuck? And yeah.
I got to go back to what did you mix fucking Boone's Farm?
no, that wasn't Boone's Farm. I got confused.
Okay.
Um,
Because that was like,
the only thing you mix Boone's Farm with is vodka, and then you're just a degenerate.
yeah, because that's twice.
Um,
as, yeah.
But
You're
so
Northern Canadian at that point.
my actual first time getting drunk, like not just like buzzed at Boone's Farm, like drunk, it was peach schnapps and Mountain Dew.
Oh, that's funny.
It was horrible. I mean, at the time, it tasted.
My
Come on.
first time getting drunk was just peach schnapps.
Yeah.
Me and
First
my-
time
Well,
I
it's
got,
because it's what your parents had.
No, me and my buddy.
Out of all
No,
the shit
no,
to look at, so
straight
you
up,
bought peach.
first time
Peach
I ever
schnapps.
got drunk
was
was I stole a bottle
hammered.
of fucking Galliano.
Oh,
Yeah. And then,
Oh,
yeah.
Me and my buddy Paul. He was a senior. I was a freshman. We finished off a handle of peach schnapps.
God.
And my mom had gone drunk.
Fucking
Are you guys-
pre-diabetic.
My mom had gone home from the bar that night drunk. And the bar had closed down. So it was like 2 a.m. I'm in this my little hometown, right? And I had to call my mom. The bar owner chick was like, "Oh, you need help." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Use my phone." So I call my mom, and my mom's like, "I'm too drunk to get you." And I'm like, "Well, I can't fucking get home, so I don't know what you can do." So she drove home. She drove back to get me, which was like 7 miles. It wasn't very far in the country. So like, there's no population. It's
Yeah, just dirt,
Yeah,
dirt roads or county roads.
yeah. And she wants me to drive home, and I'm like, I can't. And she didn't know I was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't drive home. I fucking can't drive home. I don't remember who drove home that night.
Well, we made it.
But we made it. And holy fuck. But yeah, me and Mr. Paul, who, God, he passed away early, young of cancer.
Oh.
I miss Paul. Great dude. But yeah, he was a good guy. And senior when I was a freshman. And
Yeah.
we finished off that bottle of that handle of peach
God
schnapps.
damn.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. Mine was a stolen bottle of Galliano out of a.
what's Galliano?
It's the main ingredient in a Harvey Wallbanger. And since this isn't
I don't know what that
1987, nobody drinks those
Yeah.
anymore.
I've heard
Like,
of it. I don't
here's
know
the
what it-
thing.
You
I
want
don't
to
know
piss
what-
off a bartender? Go to a bar and order that. And so
Galliano on a
Galliano
rock.
is in a bottle about this,
But
It's tall and skinny.
and
what-
it's tall and skinny. It's shaped like a pyramid.
what is it though?
It's
What kind of
it's
liquor?
an Italian liqueur.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not even like schnapps where you go like, oh, it's this. It's just an Italian liqueur.
Okay.
But there is a cocktail called a Harvey Wallbanger.
Yeah.
And there's like 9 ingredients in this fucking cocktail. It's a fucking nightmare. You want to piss off a bartender? Go to a bar that has Galliano in
He's-
it and
he's
go,
looking-
let me get a Harvey Wallbanger.
Well, so Galliano it's a sweet herbal liqueur, is what
yeah, it's just
Okay.
it's an Italian.
it's like a
liqueur.
vanilla flavored
Okay.
liqueur. So every bar I've ever worked in has one bottle of Galliano.
And it's been there since they opened,
Now, here's the crazy part: it's never full,
but it's
Right.
never empty either.
never empty, never full. I bartended for 10 years.
Never
I've never
poured it.
touched a bottle
Yep.
of Galliano. Not once, not for any drink, not for anything. I've had one person that came in and said, I'd like a Galliano on the rocks. And I looked at the dude and I was like, stop ordering what your grandfather drinks. I'm going to pour you a drink. And
Yep.
the guy's like, what? And I'm like, you must have turned 21 like 2 weeks ago. And he's like, well, like 3. And I'm like,
have you seen that TikToker
nice.
that's obviously been a bartender?
Which one?
So there's this TikToker and he comes in and he plays all the characters that are ordering drinks and he plays the bartender. So it'll be like, next.
Yep.
And he looks at him and they're like, yeah, can I get one green tea shot? And he's like, you want one? He's like, yeah, that and a Miller Lite. And he's like, you only want one shot? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, so you want one green tea shot? And he's like, oh, I'll take 3 of those. And he's like, there's my boy. And then he's like, next. And he's like, because there's certain things that every bartender's like, I'm not making one green tea shot.
Right.
Like, you want to order 4? Okay, whatever.
Right.
Or it's like last call. It's like, can I get a fucking
Long Island.
an espresso martini? And he's
Yeah.
like, no. It's
Sorry.
like, it's just like, but all of his shit is just like, do you remember us? We talked to you for like 15 minutes, 3 weeks. And he was like, I don't remember 15 minutes ago. Next. And he's just like, and I'm like, wow, you've been behind a bar a long time. It like,
We almost did that with the gun shop.
Yeah.
Where we played ourselves and then the
gun store customers. We should still do that.
Yeah, we should.
That'd
We'd
be
good at
funny.
holy fuck. You should do it and just let me be every customer.
What we need to do is get like Capital Armory involved and be like, just let us be the customers and you film.
Oh,
Like we'll be the customer and you react to us.
that would be.
It would be
should-
fucking legit.
We should do them for Warfighter, and I'll just be every cigar customer, and you guys just be the cigar owner, and I'll just come in and ask shit. And
It's just the emails. We could do a whole fucking hour long on just the random.
I worked retail tobacco before I went into the manufacturing.
I was going to
side.
say we could do it from a shop owner standpoint.
Yeah.
Just based on the question.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and
We don't get a lot of.
I worked retail tobacco, and the shit that people ask me is like,
Or you be the shop owner, we'll be the customer.
there you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that way it doesn't make us look bad as brand owners.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know shit. They're like, I'm fucking, and I'm sorry, but your
I was
average,
just asking questions. This asshole.
your average,
He's the cocksucker.
your average cigar shop customer is a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, but you guys are. You are.
But you could say that about any industry.
Any industry.
No, I know. Because I'm in the game industry, and the people that come in and ask me, like, well, in 6th edition, I'm like, well, we're in 10th edition. But you're asking me about stuff from 15 years ago. Like, there's not relevant. Well, I remember when that's
Back in my day.
fine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like the best is when we were at a gun show selling suppressors, and one guy's like telling his kid or something like, "Oh, those are illegal."
We had a cop
That's why I
walk
meant
into
this
the gun
gun show.
store.
Yeah.
I was working. I think you were there. We had an on-duty in uniform cop walk into the gun store, and right when you walk in, we had a glass display with all the fucking suppressor silencers that we had on display, one of each. There's probably 50 fucking cans.
Yeah, we had
right
50 suppressors on display.
right?
At least-
So this
at
guy
least.
walks in and he's like, "What are those?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're silencers. Like we're called silencer headquarters. This is what we do."
it's crazy. It's on the sign outside.
And the cop, he's like, "Well, you can't sell those. Those are illegal." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's that $250,000 in inventory must be illegal too. Like what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Arrest me.
yeah, like,
Please.
you fucking
Please.
caught us."
Yeah, you got me.
I have this giant store selling all this illegal shit. It's fucking wild, man.
Your
Like,
bosses are going to promote the fuck out of you.
holy shit. So we're shitting on stuff. But I have to bring this up because Caitlin and I saw this in the parking lot of our store. And so we parked, we rode the bikes to the store, we parked the bikes, and there's a Miata. Like there's a hill that
Yeah.
goes up outside of my store. And there's a Miata parked there. And there's this dad, an quintessential dad. I mean, like,
New Balance shoes.
yeah,
Jean shorts.
It's like jean shorts, golf shirt, New Balance shoes, hat, sunglasses, and stuff. Top down on the Miata with the roll cage, pointing uphill, right? And you've had to be a 16-year-old kid with the neck beard because high schools don't
Yeah.
require you to shave anymore. So every kid's like, I know how to grow a beard. And I'm like, you're supposed to shave part of that, bud. But
Yeah, you do.
whatever, you do you, in the driver's seat. And this dad has him holding the car on the hill and then moving it 15 feet forward and coming into a stop
Oh,
on the hill.
Is it manual?
It's a manual Miata.
Nice.
15 feet up, holding it.
I appreciate
15
that.
feet up, holding it. 15 feet up, comes to the stop sign, makes him come around, and they're just doing laps. And we get off the bikes and stuff, and they're he's just like coasting it down the hill. And he comes by, and I was like, "You look good, bud. You're doing fucking great." And he did. Like there was no clicks, no grind. Like he was looking great. And he was like, "Somebody's got to teach him to shift manual." I was like, "Fucking absolutely."
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So fucking more, and it was a full. You could tell this dude was going and doing the what's the fucking motorsport and they do it on the parking lots. The
Autocross?
the autocross shit.
Yeah.
It was an autocross Miata,
Nice.
Okay.
and you could tell just by the way it was stanced out, the full roll cage.
Yeah.
Like you could tell it was on suspension. It didn't sound stock. Like it was like
Yeah.
you bought a $2,500 Miata and you put fucking 10 grand into
Right.
this fucking thing, and this is your cool little sport thing.
Yeah.
But it's the only manual you have,
Right.
and god damn it, your boy was gonna know how to drive fucking stick, right?
I appreciate the fuck out of it.
And so you put this kid in a fucking race car,
Yeah.
and it was like, you're gonna learn it because if you can shift this,
You shipped anything.
you can shift fucking anything. And the kid was nailing it, and we were out there just like fucking shift that bitch.
So
Like
you know what I learned how to drive a stick on?
hit me.
Was my grandfather's, I don't know, fucking. No, it was.
Caitlin just said Model T.
It had to be a 40s or 50s Ford grain truck.
So it was like
Okay.
4-speed, 3-speed.
I don't remember.
On the tree?
Was it on the tree?
No, it wasn't on the tree.
Probably a
But no,
4-speed.
it's a legit like grain cart,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like I'm hauling corn, and so that's what I learned to drive a stick on.
Yeah.
And then
I learned how to use a clutch on a tractor.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I converted that into a vehicle. And I was like, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
I taught Caitlin how to drive a standard because
Yeah, you taught her how to. Never mind.
yeah, that too. No,
That's reverse. That's reverse.
that too. No, so I taught her because she really wanted a Mini. So somehow it ended up being my Mini, and then I bought another Mini. But she didn't know how to drive stick though, and all the good ones were manual. So it was like you need to learn how to drive. So Justin used to have a Mustang that was standard, and he left with the military for like a month. And I was like, I'm gonna keep your car and make sure that it knows that. I'm gonna teach her how to shift on it. So I taught her to shift on this big V8.
Yeah.
Absolute trash, fucking. And I was like, if you can get this thing in gear,
Right.
Oh, a Mustang is peak performance.
yeah.
Especially the
As
one
long
that he had.
as long as you want to mow down people,
Is
it's
that the
fine.
4.3 liter?
4.6.
4.6.
Yeah.
He had the the GT that was also 6,000 pounds and had 104 horsepower. And yeah, trash car. But I was like, if you can learn how to shift this thing, because there's two ways to learn how to shift. You either learn on a manual that is absolute garbage, or you learn one that has no forgiveness.
Right.
And if you can do either one of those, you can drive any manual in between.
Yeah.
So I get it. It was like the first car you ever bought, but it was a nightmare car. Like that thing was
Oh, I beat the dog. So when I was buying, I was
with
in
those
the
lovely
process-
cut springs that were in it.
Yeah.
This was one of those somebody took a cutoff wheel and just like
Nice.
cut the springs, and that's how it was lowered.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
When I was test driving that car because I bought it from a friend's dad, and I was test driving it, and we were on I-10 because I lived out in Bernie, and I went to put it. I was in fourth gear, about like 5,000 RPM, and went to shift it into sixth,
And you hit
and
third.
I hit third.
You mean fifth?
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
did not have a 6-speed
Fifth,
transmission
and,
in it.
and I must have been. I don't know, but I fucked up that transmission test driving it, and
Yep.
as soon as that happened, I was like, "I'm committed now. I'm having to buy this now." Yeah,
With
I
this
fucked
thing,
that thing.
it had somebody had taken like a grinder with a
Yeah.
cutoff wheel and cut the springs
Nice.
and like dropped it and stuff like that. It was a nightmare. And I was like, if you can learn how to shift this car.
Yeah.
And so that was when I got into that whole fucking, you were out of the country and that Dodge decided he wanted to see if he was faster than your Ford. And I was like, you may not be faster in this car, but you're not a faster driver than me. But she learned how to shift on that. And even then it was just like, yeah, this is something you need to know
Yeah.
how to do. But then we get in the discussion of like, we want to talk about this generation that doesn't know how to shift and whatever. And it was like, go buy your kid. So you have a kid that turned 16, right? Go buy them a car that is the same age as they are. Buy them a 16-year-old car.
Mm-hmm.
What are you buying? So do the math. It's 2024. Buy them a 16-year-old car.
It's still hard to find a stick.
You're not finding a stick. It's still going to be power everything.
2008.
Yeah.
Most of those cars are going to have backup cameras. It's power everything. And these are on the base models.
So Logan, my son Logan, he's a car guy. I guarantee he could get in and drive a stick. It would take him
It's not hard.
3 minutes.
It's not hard.
And the first vehicle I bought was a stick. I'd never driven a stick before.
Yeah.
And I drove it home. And it was a very underpowered Ford fucking Ranger.
Ranger.
It was lifted, a 4-cylinder. We had this big fucking hill. And I'm in it was a 5-speed. I'm in 4. And I had to downshift to 3rd to get the fuck up this hill going 50. It was bad. But yeah. And then, I drove that Viper, right?
Yeah.
Which was a stick.
Yep.
Well, that's a whole different animal too.
Vipers are gated. And that's if you've never been on a gated shifter, that is not
I don't know what that means.
okay. So gated shifters are, so if you look at the Viper, it has a full gate. So there's no forgiveness.
Yeah, it was.
It's all or nothing.
And the clutch was very.
The clutch is on or off.
Yeah.
You can't, you don't get to roll that clutch in and whatever. Yeah. So that's a double clutch synchro mesh transmission with a gated shifter. Gated, that's not I throw it close to 3rd and it kind of falls in. You either nailed 3rd or you missed.
Yeah.
And there is no in between.
When you're pushing horsepower like that,
well, my first
your clutches are on or off.
My first experience of that was on a Ferrari. That was my first gated shifter.
Okay.
And I had a hard time getting that thing to go.
Yeah.
From standstill, just to get it to roll forward. I think I stalled it 6 times.
Because it's more throttle than clutch.
You have to give it so much more power than you're expecting for it to catch.
For example, my Ranger, I had 6 inches of clutch.
Yeah.
You could engage.
You could literally play that clutch, not touch the gas, and get that vehicle to move forward. You can't do that on
the Viper. I had a 1/2 inch of clutch.
Yeah. It's either on or off. But then would you understand that Vipers aren't meant? Look, cars like that, Vipers, Ferraris, Lambos, if you're lucky enough to get any of the new Vets that have the actual manual transmission and stuff, these are not commuting cars. These are not a drive around during the day vehicle.
Your clutch, your first gear, and going from a standstill to motion it's built to be a launch.
Yeah.
It's not built to be controlled and
that's what I
easy.
think people don't get. It's so hard to shift. And I'm like, well, first off, first gear is literally just to get that out of essentially park.
Yeah.
You are at a standstill. First gear is to get it going forward, and then you're supposed to be in second. Because first gear, you probably launched it at about 6,000 RPMs. And now you're just instantly slamming it into second.
Yep.
And that's your speed build.
Yeah.
They're a different beast.
What do they call it? Gripping and ripping?
Yeah.
I mean, once you figured out that it was less clutch and more throttle, you could ease into it.
Yeah.
You can figure it out. And again, if you know how to do it, it's fine. So I taught Caitlin how to shift, and then she wanted to learn how to ride a bike. And it was like, look, you already know how to shift.
Yeah.
Now at this point, you just need to learn how to lean that bike. If you can learn how to steer it, you already know. You know how to hear it.
Yeah.
You know what shifting is, that you have to clutch in and all that kind of stuff. How to walk the clutch out. You already know how to. That's all the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gated stuff, like the Viper, all of the high performance stuff. But once you get it to work, there is nothing like those high end systems.
Yeah.
Those things are. But that's like anything. Anytime you can get into the high end perfection version of it.
Right.
I got into a really long discussion with a guy today about the STI Staccato. I don't think they're worth the money, but I will say that is the very high-end perfected version of that mechanic. I'm not going to deny the Staccato is the perfected version of the 1911 mechanic. I don't think they're worth the
there's
money.
higher ones
I agree,
that are
but
better quality, but they're double the price.
I would also, well, we can get it. That's a whole nother discussion. Well, because like the Shadow 2, I would put the Shadow 2 up against the Staccato S. It's half the price, probably works better. But you're talking about the 1911 mechanic, 3 moving parts, whatever. It's just that done on a precision level. The clutch in a Viper, the clutch in a Lambo, the clutch in a Ferrari, and all that kind of stuff. It's still just a clutch.
Yeah.
It's just done on the high-end precision level. It's familiar, but it's a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what you're getting into. It's not that they work better or worse. It's just far different. So, and you have to decide if you want that, it's going to cost you.
Right.
Because you're paying for the hours that went into making that. Not that it works better. You're paying for what it is. But anyways, this show's been all over the fucking
on
place.
that note, let's fucking yeah.
I'll raise my glass.
Cheers. I'll second that motion.
Thanks for being my Freedom Friends, boys. And 3 little things. Words to live by. If Confucius was around, I'm sure he'd have something more clever than me. But anyways, that first one, Johnny.
Smoke on.
Scotty.
Oh, drink on.
And God damn it, boys.
Freedom the fuck on.
See you guys later.